Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
President Biden battling COVID, but insisting he's feeling okay. Word of the positive test spreading just as First Lady Jill Biden arrived to speak here in Detroit. And that tops our news at 6 o'clock. COVID-19 once again hits the West Wing of the White House.
The diagnosis comes after several recent trips, of course, including overseas, where he mingled with other world leaders. Symptoms reportedly mild, and the president even went on camera to reassure Americans.
Keep the faith. It's going to be okay.
The latest wave of coronavirus infections sweeping the nation has reached the Oval Office with a positive test this morning for President Biden.
Where was he infected? I don't think we know. He's certainly going to isolate for at least 5 days, and he will return to normal activities after he's had a negative test.
The White House says the 79-year-old is experiencing mild symptoms, including a dry cough, a runny nose, and fatigue.
But I'm doing well. Getting a lot of work done. I'm going to continue to get it done.
Medical experts say they're not surprised, even though the president is fully vaccinated and double boosted.
That should almost eliminate his risk of severe illness or death, but he does fit into the highest risk group. He's almost 80 years old.
White House officials say the president is currently taking the antiviral drug Paxlovid and isolating while carrying out his presidential duties. A scheduled trip to Pennsylvania is now canceled. The president's diagnosis comes after Wednesday's trip to Massachusetts and, of course, the recent trip to the Middle East, where he was seen sometimes shaking hands and embracing world leaders. The White House says it is contact tracing and identifying who may have been in recent close contact with the president, as health experts point out the next few days are critical.
Although it's 7 to 10 days, we'll be mostly out of the woods for the worst stuff. We will be keeping an eye on him.
Meanwhile, First Lady Jill Biden has tested negative for the virus.
She was in Detroit this morning, where she met with students in the Detroit Public Schools Community District. Biden talked with reporters briefly about the president's illness.
I tested negative this morning. I am going to keep my schedule. According to CDC guidelines, I am keeping masked. And so I'd like to go in and see the program here. Learning loss as an educator means a lot to me.
And we mentioned contact tracing. The First Lady, obviously just one of the president's many close contacts.
So what is the protocol for her and everybody else who is potentially exposed? Dr. Frank McGeorge is here to break down the key points that all of us need to know.
Under the current CDC protocols, people who are up to date on their COVID vaccinations don't have to quarantine if they're a close contact of someone who tests positive. Now, to be clear, though, up to date means you're fully vaccinated and you've received a booster if you are eligible for a booster. Now, since Jill Biden meets that criteria, she was able to continue on with her day's plans. Now, she's going to need to wear a well-fitting mask around others at all times for the next 10 days, and she's going to need to monitor herself for any symptoms. If she develops any symptoms, she should test immediately. And if she doesn't develop symptoms, it's recommended to test at least 5 days after her exposure. Now, I think it's fairly safe to assume she will be testing frequently regardless. Now, if the First Lady were not vaccinated, hypothetically, or not up to date on her vaccinations, then she would need to quarantine immediately for 5 days after the president tested positive and actually follow the rest of the CDC's recommended guidelines.
All right, Doc. Now, ahead on NBC Nightly News, a closer look at the antiviral drug we mentioned, Paxlovid, which the president is taking, what it is, how it works, how effective it is, and who can get it. That's at 6:30, along with any new updates on the president's condition. NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt right after this newscast.
Another candidate for governor in Michigan making national headlines, this time for her comments on exceptions to abortion. Tudor Dixon, the current frontrunner on the GOP side, saying in a recent interview a teenage victim of sexual assault is a, quote, perfect example of why abortion should be banned. Let's turn to Grant Herms right now. And Grant, there's been some fallout to this less than 2 weeks from the primary now.
Not that long to go, Kimberly. Yeah, Tudor Dixon has been a staunch advocate for banning abortion in Michigan, as have all of her Republican rivals in this primary race. But this comment has gone viral, and it may not be in line with the voters that she's trying to win over.
In an interview with a conservative online news outlet, Tudor Dixon, the leading candidate to become the Republican nominee for governor, asked about whether a 14-year-old victim of incestuous rape should have access to abortion. Her answer making national headlines.
Perfect example. Because I know people who are the product. I'd like this a life for me. That's how it is. Okay. That is for me. That's my feeling.
That answer criticized by Democrats, including the Michigan Democratic Party, which said in a statement, her callous remarks are the perfect example of how dangerous Tudor Dixon would be for Michigan families. Dixon is currently leading the field by a narrow margin, but isn't alone in her stance. Every candidate running for governor said they would uphold the state's 1931 law banning abortion in any circumstance. But that position and the law are out of step with Michigan GOP voters. In the most recent Local 4 Detroit News poll, 68% of Republican voters said they supported exceptions for abortion in cases of rape and incest. 71% of self-described classic Republicans and 57% of self-described Trump Republicans also supported those same exceptions. Dixon's comment also comes on the heels of a push in other states, including a high-profile case in Ohio, where a 10-year-old rape victim was forced to get an abortion in Indiana, where lawmakers this week have proposed a ban on abortion with exceptions.
Now, we did reach out to Dixon's campaign today to see if she wanted to add something to that comment or if she could clarify when she said that this was a personal belief for her, if she'd be using those personal beliefs if she were to become governor, or if she meant something else by that distinction. We did not hear back from her campaign this afternoon. Kimberly?
Okay, Grant, as this is all playing out, though, we're still waiting to see if abortion access will even end up on the ballot in November. Kind of tell us where things stand on that right now.
Well, just over a week ago, 750,000 signatures for that petition to put abortion on the ballot to make it a part of the state's constitution were turned into the state today. The Board of Canvassers, the State Board of Canvassers, I should say, said they have not started to verify those signatures just yet. They are setting themselves a deadline of August 31st to get that done. Back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Grant, thanks.
When DPD officer Lauren Courts was recently shot and killed on the line of duty, the loss itself was profound, made even more tragic by the fact that he leaves behind a beautiful family that now has to find a way forward without him. It's no surprise the community continues to wrap its arms around them, and the latest example comes on 4 wheels. Sean Lay live with more on that story. Sean.
Well, Officer Court's partner had said that her partner, Officer Courts, was saving a lot of money, working up for a birthday present for his upcoming son's 16th birthday. It's a new car he was saving for. Now, a team of people are working to make sure that becomes a reality.
Got brought up to me and Jay Feldman said, well, listen, let's get the kid a car.
Dave Kotarski and the team at Feldman Automotive have this Chevy Malibu all shined up and ready to hand the keys over to Darian Courts, the son of fallen Detroit police officer Lauren Courts. Feldman Automotive is giving the car to Courts' son. Feldman in Woodhaven has an employee who was a sheriff's deputy in Monroe County. He wanted to do something to help the officer's family. And then Feldman Automotive learned another one of their employees had a bad crash on a scooter. And as one of Officer Courts' last calls, Courts helped save that man's life.
Officer Courts was the first responder there, was actually giving him CPR when the paramedics arrived. So literally it was, I think, 7 or 8 days prior to his tragic death.
Wayne County Sheriff Raphael Washington learned from Courts' partner that Officer Courts was saving up for a car for his son's upcoming 16th birthday. He says he and his department did not want Officer Courts' efforts to end when he was killed in the line of duty. And he wants to make sure Courts' son gets fatherly advice once he gets his car.
We'll hope that he'll understand that this was a product of what his father started, for sure. And he'll appreciate it, and he'll do all the things that he needs to do to be cautious and careful.
Good advice there. I reached out to Officer Courts' wife. They are aware that the car is coming this Monday, so we're not giving up any surprises here. However, we are told something will be on that car, placed on the car, that will remind his son of his dad every time he gets behind the wheel. We're live tonight. Sean Lay, Local 4. Back to you.
It'll be really poignant. All right, Sean.
Okay, well, it's been a very clear but also very hot day across Southeast Michigan.
Paul is concerned about some storms now heading into the weekend, and that's not great for things like art fairs, Paul.
Right, and we've got that Ann Arbor Art Fair right behind me here on our Ann Arbor Skycam. Now, the art fair itself likely will not be impacted, but we do have some concerns as we head into the weekend. We'll talk about that with some detail to help you plan in about 10 minutes. But right now, still upper 80s to around 90 degrees. Monroe, you're at 86, maybe a little help off of Lake Erie here. But notice the dew points, mostly in the 60s, but 42. Look how dry the air is up in Lapeer. That's not a typo. There actually is some dry air up to the north. But right now, we're just looking for rain. There's none in the area right now. Let's just see if we can find anything to the west. We certainly need the water around here. Oh, finally, a little bit. Well, it's okay. It's not much. But this stuff is generally moving eastward. So a couple of us are going to see a shower during the overnight hours tonight, late evening into the early period after midnight. But temperatures just slowly falling through the 80s this evening. I'll be back to talk about, again, that weekend storm threat just a bit. But don't forget, the Local Forecasters app is an absolute necessity. A lot of us needed it yesterday, and you'll need it this weekend with storms coming through, a couple of different waves of them. Just go to the App Store, search under WDIV, and best of all, guys, it's free.
All right, Paul. There is a sense of excitement tonight in one of Detroit's underserved communities over plans to convert a property into a much-needed supermarket and more.
It'll be called The Shift, and it's coming to Linwood and Glendale on the city's west side. That's where we find Victor Williams with more on what's in the works. Hi, Victor.
Hey, Devin and Kimberly. So this is something that the community has been hoping for quite some time. At first glance, it does not look like much, but it's going to be something very special soon. It used to be a liquor store, but the owner is hoping to now shift the impact that it's having on the community, and you can tell by just the name alone.
It's just making a change and giving more options.
Sonia Green has big plans for her property here on Linwood and Glendale. A supermarket, residential apartments, a hair salon, and barber shop all in the same building called The Shift.
This building had been in my family since the 80s. It was owned by my aunt and uncle, Juanita and Elmer Fuller, and Elmer's barbershop was right there on the corner, and he had been in business for over 40 years in this community.
The building is expected to be up and running in weeks, but prior to doing this, Sonia was in the business of helping others in a different way.
I'm a registered nurse by profession, and I put myself through nursing school right around the corner, living on Dexter in Pasadena.
She says her most recent dream of helping people in her community was made clearer because a person giving her a chance with what she calls the ultimate realization.
Attorney Amir Hakim is Chaldean, and he indicated to me that his families, they had liquor stores and they made a lot of money in our community. Being that we've made money, I need to give back, so please let me give to you. And I was mush when I left his office. It was just fantastic.
And now community members like Terrence Rudolph, who owns Schoolcraft Motors across the street, are more than excited with what's to come.
This neighborhood is dying for change. As you can take a look around right now, there's nothing positive. So this is something we've been looking forward to.
I'm proud. It's a great moment.
Sonia wants to thank Attorney Hakim for his marketing and PR services that he provided. You can expect The Shift to be open sometime around September. On the west side, Victor Williams, Local 4.
Wow, that's quick. Okay, Victor, thanks.
Game changer.